Sorry, Joe. We had to put our costumes on, man. He said, "Where are y'all?"
Just such a savvy. Loves it all about it.
Da-da-da-da. Group of yeah, they got the Twitter back to 9.1K followers.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's weird, man. Yeah, they got the Twitter back to. Oh, is that what I sound like?
Yep,
That's what you sound like.
that's it.
Yeah, I used to on our first, like when we first started, I used to listen back and be like, "God, I sound like an idiot." Now I don't care anymore.
Mm.
Group of 5 guys, and like it, and share it, and post it. And
What a terrible camera.
Stu, I did get today's voicemail. I just assumed you didn't want the in-game one, so I apologize. I do not have your halftime call because I didn't have time to bleep it out. But I have
was he just like,
today's call.
was he at halftime just like completely distraught, and then at the end of the game he was fired up, back?
He called.
Mountaineers are
His
back.
second voicemail was today. He left at halftime. First time he's ever left at halftime.
I don't blame him.
Stu. Oh. Well, shuffle my papers here.
Shuffle them on. We'll get rolling.
I got to tell you.
I just love how every week James Madison Twitter is just flying off the rails.
Yeah. I basically root against them for the same reasons I root against Colorado. It's got nothing to do with the players at all. It's got everything to do with media and Twitter.
Speaking of
Twitter
Prime,
fans.
you see him call out his entire offensive line?
Yeah, but he also, like 3 weeks ago, they asked him about his starting center, and he was like, "Who?" And he didn't know his name. So I don't know. Could be a reason why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes big guys, don't need like a ton of credit, but like your head coach to know your name. And then everybody was saying, "Yo, really expect him to know?" And I was like, "Yeah, Coach Stock knew everything about me before I was even, and I was the last person he should know anything about. And he knew every place we went, every hangout, every party we were going to, every bar. I mean, hell, the guy thought me and Jesse were going to Coconut Bay 3 nights a week because he would look at our Twitter and we would be at the Bay.
Every college coach should know every. I mean,
Everybody.
I want to say every player, but at least your first, second, and third stringers. I mean, might be a few walk-ons here and there. Maybe you don't know. It's like in high school. If you didn't play like those big my high school team had like 110 players. My head coach knew every one of our guys' names. So if Deion Sanders does not know all of his players' names, I guarantee you there's some Dabo Swinney knows every player at Clemson. I can guarantee you Nick Saban knows every player at Alabama. I don't want to say guarantee on that. You never know. But if your coaches don't know your name, that's bad. And I bet Deion probably does know that guy's name. It's probably, I hope I hadn't heard the story. Hopefully I was taken out of context. That's bad. But then, with all the NIL and transfers, you never know who's there.
It was like, yeah, I'll give him that. It's probably harder to do it. You got a new roster every year, but at the same time, like, it was the starting center. I mean, you didn't think all week in practice, like they didn't have staff meetings, and the O-line coach was like, "Well, we got to start, Nunez at center this week." He was like, "Who's that?" Then at least at that point, maybe, yeah, man, he's JUCO kid. We brought him in here. He's a pretty good player, whatever. But anyway, Jeff, are we ready to start the show here? I'm sweating bad.
I bet you are.
It's pretty hot.
And it's gonna be cold tomorrow though, so that's good.
Yeah.
Good news for me.
Ready when you are, sir.
Tell me when. Yeah, you tell me when, boss. Welcome into the #1 Group of 5 football podcast in all of the world. We are the Group of 5 guys on a special Halloween, night before Halloween edition of the Group of 5 guys podcast. If you don't know who we are, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of 5 football programs that the mainstream sports media refuses to do. We need everybody's help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms. Go to Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can go to group5guys.com. Get you some Group of 5 guys swag. On this episode, we're going to recap a weekend. We're going to talk some of the conference scenarios. We are getting down to the wire here. Every single game counts. A lot of teams cannot afford to lose. We're going to break down a couple of those scenarios. Plenty more, again, on this special Halloween edition. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
Lee Corso is a guy who had a retirement party 10 years ago, and yet he still won't leave the office.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible. The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of 5.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
I really appreciate you do for the Group of 5 programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of 5 because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
I appreciate what you guys do, truthfully, covering the Group of 5. Y'all said it earlier, but the Sun Belt to me is college football.
Green Power Ranger. I think his name is Kyle or Mike, maybe something like that. If my voice is a little muffled and you're not watching, that's who I am for Halloween. But I got to tell you, I can't see, I can't hear, I can't breathe. But this thing is legit. Honestly, I don't think the Power Rangers are supposed to be scary, but I put this mask on earlier. My little one did not enjoy it. But then I took the mask off and he laughed, and then he wanted to put the mask on. But it's pretty cool, man. I mean, I can make all kinds of facial expressions. I can roll my eyes. I can do all kinds of things with this guy on, and nobody knows what I'm thinking. But I definitely appreciate the outfit. I mean, we got some good stuff. We got Green Power Ranger. Murph, you are
Rey Mysterio, 619.
Rey Mysterio, Tip, that's elite. Forrest Gump, that's big time. And old Swaggy. I mean, are we Tony Soprano?
I just joined the show. I didn't know that we had a Halloween costume outfit. I saw that before I got on here. I dress like this every Sunday night.
Dan Savage at the Twitter goes, Rey Mysterio is a Toledo fan. Said Forrest Gump built the rocket pointed at Bowling Green State University. And then he says, Swag Bear, are you Joey Diaz?
I reckon.
Well, we got a lot to cover. I'm going to try. This thing here is not going to last, but little Halloween segment here. So on Saturday, we talked a little bit about our favorite candies. Snickers, Reese's, Jeff.
Milky Way.
I know Joey Diaz was at first. That's pretty funny. Okay, got it.
Well, let's go back to candy real quick, just for a second. Jesse, you weren't on the last podcast, but
yeah,
what's your go-to candy? What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Reese's.
Do you like candy corn?
Yes.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Damn it.
Candy corn is the worst.
You mix that with peanuts. It's on my kitchen bowl right now. I talked to your wife about this stuff the other day.
I know we did
the poor man's payday.
She did a poll.
You
on
had
her
peanuts and candy corn.
I won,
Bro,
by the way.
That stuff is amazing.
No, I won, by the way.
I don't like it by itself. I like it with peanuts.
Yeah,
I'll eat it by itself. Oh,
now,
man.
what kind of candy is the Grisham household giving out tomorrow?
I mean, so I'm pretty tired right now. I may fall asleep during this podcast. I've been out hanging Christmas lights and Christmas wreaths and Christmas. Everything's been Christmas.
Whoa.
We got a freaking snow machine.
This is another conversation we need to have.
No, but it's because we are the Christmas house on Halloween. And so I'm dressed up like Santa Claus. Yeah, I didn't want to go in my attic and get all that Santa Claus outfit for tomorrow because I'm going to be sweating like a mug. But I'll have that Christmas bag loaded with, I got Reese's Christmas trees. We got candy canes. We have Christmas, some other Christmas treat, like Little Debbie Christmas cakes, whatever, and your normal Halloween candy. But we're going all out here, and I've been working on a damn snow machine for the past 2 hours because I've been out of town this past weekend, and now we're trying to hook it up and make sure it runs properly. It worked good for the first 45 minutes, and it started. So now we're like, game day's tomorrow, and we don't have the proper equipment. So we're
you disappoint a lot of kids, man.
Well, that's what my wife's mad about because it wouldn't be a big deal if I didn't tell a handful of neighbors that we're going to have some snow.
Oh, a handful. I know. I already know how.
And so
we all know how
she's over
Grisham is
here-
when he gets excited about something.
She's over here like, why would you tell them? And I'm like, this is your idea. Like, I'm trying to promote for you. But
I would say go to like Home Depot or Lowe's or something, but they probably don't have Christmas stuff out yet.
you got work. Tomorrow. I can't. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Reese's is my number one Halloween candy. And tomorrow, I mean, my dining table is loaded right now with candy because this neighborhood goes hard. Like I see like probably 300 kids, maybe about 300 kids. So
that's why you know we got good listeners when Steeple goes, what happened to paying someone to put up the Christmas decorations?
That was already done. Now I had to hang the lights on the main trimming of the house. They were up there. Now I had to do the bushes, wrap the columns, and the what's wrong for? Lost my train of thought. The green
garland.
Had to garland up my columns.
Yeah.
Wrap those with lights.
You're gonna
do
have
my
to post
bushes.
a picture of this thing.
Put reefs up.
Yeah.
Put reefs up on the windows. And then I have all these fake deer out my front yard too. We go all out.
Yeah, gotta put a picture out there.
Make sure one of those deer's not mounting old Bambi out
and
there.
here's one thing I know we got. But here's the last thing I want to talk about: snow machines. This thing ain't a snow machine. It's like a fog machine, and it's cheap compared to what you want to get a real snow machine. Like you want to get those things are like thousands of dollars. This thing's like 100, maybe 150. I don't know, something like for a fog machine. It's not bad. So if it's not working,
go get a bunch of like children's bubble makers.
Yeah, one of those bubble machines.
Yeah, those things work. I mean, if you can't get snow, you get you some bubbles. Let me tell you, some kids see a bubble machine and they don't care about anything else.
It's 9:30.
They'll look
right now.
past.
I've been working on this thing since like 8:15. So like past like an hour ago, I just got done. We gave up. So been a day.
Well, good luck to you. All right. So what were we talking about? So you're giving away some good stuff. What kind of do you guys, Murph and Tip? Do you guys give away good candy, or are you a BS family? You give out like the candy that you don't like, so you don't eat it. Is that what y'all do?
No, I give away.
Or you guys give away the good
top notch stuff. I mean, out in the
Murphy's
country,
probably you guys probably got king size candy bars out.
Time. No, well,
how does that work with kids though? Because how are you doing that when you're probably out trick or treating with your kids? I mean, do you even give out candy? Because you're probably out for a couple hours.
Well, where I live, I live out in the country, so nobody's coming down. Nobody's coming down my road, but we'll pass out candy at the deli.
Yeah. Do you guys go? You guys go to a different neighborhood? Because our neighborhood, like there's more people in our neighborhood for like a 2.5 hour window tomorrow than the entire year combined. Like Cam's only 3, so we just like walk up the street real fast, and we do that at like 5 p.m. But then once it gets a little darker, we're just hanging out in the driveway. I'll put the MACtion on in the garage there. I have the there's like a YouTube Halloween playlist that everybody puts on. So it's like a little block party we do. But yeah, like we have people that come in probably that live in, areas like Murph and Tip, like their families drive in and they drop their little badass kids off and go home for 3 hours, and their kids go around like 3 times in the neighborhood. But I got like 1,000 something pieces of candy, and I'm a little nervous we're gonna run out of it, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, last thing on Halloween, how about do you guys watch scary movies leading up to or on Halloween?
Yes, I love scary movies. Honestly, I told Michaela, I said I'm staying up late because that new Freddy's movie.
So tired. I'm gonna fall asleep on this podcast. I'll be up late because there's a new documentary on Netflix.
I love scary. Scary horror is my favorite genre. And I mean, it's either I'm scared watching Group of Five football upset me on Saturdays, or I'm watching a horror movie. That's I'm always getting scared.
So what's your hold on now. So you're the scary movie guy. I hate them. I've seen a few.
Not a fan of them.
I hate them. Mm-hmm. But what's a scary movie to you? Like
for me personally, what like makes me uncomfortable, I like enjoy them. All that paranormal stuff, like the Conjuring stuff. Yeah. No, but they always end up having a good story or a good twist to it. There's always a good story on these. The slashers are good. The Michael Myers, I do enjoy. Like the new Halloweens with what's his name from Eastbound and Down, the one that produces them all. I really enjoy those. But a good paranormal, that's really fun for me. But the one I'm going to watch tonight is apparently a slasher about some walking Chuck E. Cheese character that's just grinding people up. So pretty excited about that. I'll probably put something on my Twitter and let you know how it goes. I'm sure people are on the YouTube comments probably already. It's like Freddy something. I'm going to look for the comments. They'll help me out.
I don't know. Michael Myers messed me up when I was a little kid. I watched it, and it messed me up pretty bad. Then, the paranormal ones. What was that one that we watched at the Bay? Tiptoe by the window.
That's called Insidious, but I'm talking about Five Nights at Freddy's. It looks ridiculous, but apparently it's a good slasher.
Do you guys ever watch the what's the not Keegan Michael Key? What's the other guy's name?
Oh,
Peele.
dude,
Jordan Peele.
Get Out
the other one, Us.
Us is freaky. Get Out and Us are actually good, but his movie
we're good.
Don't Look Up or no, not Up. Nope. About aliens, horrendous, horrible. Love the guy, great director. It was horrible.
You know what the worst scary movie of all time? You ready for this? You'll know it. Mark Wahlberg, The Happening.
Not good.
You know what I'm talking about? The wind blows and they stab themselves with a pencil.
Yeah, big build up for that movie. It was not that great.
It wasn't good. I could never figure out what was supposed to be happening. Anyway, you mentioned it, man. Go ahead. What you got?
No. Our last thing we got to go because it's getting late. No, Netflix does have a lot of good horror stuff out there. So
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Okay.
You know what? Right. Here's one other thing I will say. This is a little thing I got bone to pick. This happened last year during the NBA Finals. What was the movie? There was a scary movie that was coming out, and the NBA Finals kept playing the commercial like every single break. And I'm sitting there watching the NBA Finals with my 2.5-year-old kid, and every single commercial break, there's a freaking whatever creature it was.
I think it was the Pope's Exorcist. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Something bad. I mean, and then the other day, it's not that scary, but I'm watching Blippi on YouTube, and they brought up the Goosebumps movie, which
that's good too on Disney Plus. Goosebumps, that they did a good job with that. They're doing a fantastic job.
But a 3-year-old,
it's good.
Yeah, congratulations. But a 3-year-old doesn't need to have that commercial coming on every 5 minutes when we're trying to learn about building and digging in the dirt, things of that nature.
Agreed.
Anyway,
to disagree.
Here's the thing. There were some surprises, things that scared me this weekend. And I'm going to go around the horn here. Let me start. Boise State. I don't know what to do about Boise State. I have started the season saying this was a playoff team. Then like 2 weeks in, I'm thinking they might not even be a bowl team. And then like 5 weeks in, I was like, they may win the Mountain West. Then I got back off, and now all of a sudden, this weekend they look like world beaters again. They're like 4-4 overall, but what, 3-1 in the Mountain West. And here we go. Here's Boise State again. I mean, they play Air Force in that last week of the season. Now, fortunately for Air Force, they're pretty much, barring something crazy, I think they've locked up a spot in the championship. Now, whether or not they host could go a lot of ways, because if they have a loss to a one-loss Boise State, then there's a head-to-head. There might be a one-loss Fresno State. A lot of things could happen, but that was surprising to me, man, to see Boise and just, I don't know if it was Wyoming just bad or Boise good, a little bit of both probably, but I mean, their defense just completely shut down Wyoming, completely shut them down. That was the biggest shock for me.
Sprouse, Peasley only had 85 yards passing, and they only had 27 rushing yards as a team. Like, that's,
I don't understand it.
Don't understand it at all.
I know there was some weather out that way, but
you think Wyoming
it didn't seem
used
to
playing
affect
that.
Boise State. Yeah, didn't seem to affect the 2-quarterback offense of Boise State that I hate so much, but they got it done. Anyway, Murph, I'll stay with you. What about you? Most surprising thing of the weekend?
I'm going to have to go with Coastal Carolina and Jarrett Guest starring in the role with Grayson McCall out. I mean, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I said the others need to step up and help him out. Jared Brown, 5 receptions, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the Coastal defense, 3 sacks, and holding Rasheen Ali to 52 rushing yards on the day. It's a hell of a performance in a must-win game to keep them alive in the East. Going with the Chanticleers. Great performance.
You think Marshall's out of it? Marshall's done, huh?
I think so.
You
talked about that stretch that they had.
I talked about this 7-game stretch. They're 0-3. Yeah, but they haven't won one game of it yet.
Well, I know.
Like they're 0-3, and the head Coach Huff is kind of bantering a little bit with the media up there. Fans are unhappy with the play calling on both sides of the ball. There's a little bit of sort of mystery behind Ali not playing a couple weeks ago. It just seems like it's falling apart. It's unraveling at Marshall, and it's unfortunate because it's a very good team, and theoretically they're still in it in the East, but they're going to need a lot of help at this point. But you thought if they could just get through that 7-game stretch at 5-2, maybe 4-3, but it doesn't seem like that's happening. So I don't know. What about you, Jess? Most surprising outcome from the weekend? And I gotta go turn my fan on.
Can y'all hear me? Sorry. Yeah. So for me, the most surprising was going to be a team that I put most of my money on for Saturday. I thought with Gabbert getting hurt for my Ohio, going at Ohio, Curtis Rourke, let's slide it back up. Let's get our name back in there to be talked about. Not saying the guy didn't have a good game. He threw for 300 yards, and he actually played well. Ohio just could not run the football. They could not run the football on Miami Ohio's defense, and Miami Ohio blew me away, winning by multiple scores. So Miami Ohio, they ain't out of the picture. They're still a pretty good football team. And Ohio, I cannot rely on them to be my lock ever. So I'm jumping off the Ohio train probably again. I thought I said it once already, but I was very confident in them handling business on Miami, Ohio. And Miami, Ohio said, hold my beer. We're not done. So kudos to those guys.
That was definitely a shocker. I mean, we had that game as our lock of the week because we didn't think Miami offensively could do anything. And they weren't spectacular on offense, but Ohio, man, that's the MAC, I guess. That is the MAC, I guess. Tip, what about you? What was a surprising outcome from the weekend?
So what scared or shocked me the most was that App State and Southern Miss game. I mean, just the fact that we talked about it on Saturday morning was with a game like this, if you're App State, you don't want it to be close going into the second half. I mean, they were down 10 points at halftime to Southern Miss.
And Stu left the building.
Which Stu, I'm right there with you. I would have been right there with you, man. With how everything's going this season with App so far in these close games, but have to give credit to App State for fighting back in the second half like they did and coming out with the win. Because at the end of the day, a win is a win, no matter how it was during the game. They won the game. But let's look at this realistically for App State the rest of the season. They host Marshall. They're favored currently by 3.5 in that game. Then they go to Georgia State. They go to James Madison. And then they host Georgia Southern. So at this point, App State's sitting 4-4. We're probably just looking at realistically just trying to get to 6 wins and a bowl game.
Yeah, but okay, Marshall, I'm telling you, I think Marshall's done for. Georgia State could unravel for Georgia State. Not yet, but it could. If they mess around, because they have a tough one this weekend. They got James Madison this weekend, right? So if they lose to James Madison, they could start mailing it in. Then, it's a big if, but if App State's able to rattle off their next 3, then they'll host Georgia Southern on the last week of the year, probably for a shot at the Sun Belt title. But a big if. They this year, this Sun Belt, especially the Sun Belt East, it is. I mean, any of them could beat any of them. So
can I say two things here?
You can.
Because what my last thing for who disappointed, and I am disappointed in Georgia State. I've been trying to hype those guys up on social media, and Georgia Southern just went there and I know it's a rivalry game, and usually Georgia State handles Georgia Southern past few years. If anybody's going to beat James Madison for some reason, I feel like it's going to be Georgia State. I can just see that happening. Second thing, Tip, you just look adorable. I feel like you're about to knock on my door and either sell me a Bible or you're going to sell me some chocolates. I don't know. You feel like you're just like trying to make some money fundraising. So
world's finest chocolates. Remember those guys now?
Yes. Okay, continue.
Anyway, Tip, were you finished?
I was, yeah, I was.
With you. Yeah, no, I'm with you. So Jesse's off the Ohio bandwagon. Murph, what about you? You got a bandwagon you're jumping on or jumping off after the weekend?
I don't have one that I'm going to go one. I actually do have one that I'm jumping off. I'm jumping off South Alabama. I wanted these guys to be so good before the season, and they have just been Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't know which South Alabama team is going to show up week to week. I mean, they had like a stretch of like 3 weeks where they outscored their opponent like 100-6, and then they don't show up this weekend, and Carter Bradley's turned the ball over. I mean, you got to have some type of consistency, and they were at home. I'm off. I'm off the South Alabama bandwagon.
Tip, what about you?
So kind of similar to what Jesse was just talking about, I'm off the Georgia State bandwagon. They're too inconsistent week to week. You know, they didn't show up for Troy. They didn't show up this past week against Georgia Southern, like Jesse mentioned, a rivalry game. It's just Darren Granger, you know, he's just, like Murph mentioned, which Darren Granger is going to show up from week to week. The one that's running all over the field and throwing against all these defenses and making plays happen, or the one that's throwing interceptions and turning the ball over. So there's too inconsistent from week to week, and because of that, I don't think they have a realistic chance of playing in the Sun Belt Championship. A team that I'm on the bandwagon, and they did lose this past week, but I thought UNLV played a really good game against Fresno State. I was really impressed with how they played, and I don't know, they're going to need some help if they want to try and get a chance to play in the Mountain West Championship, but can still play in a really good bowl game even if they don't make the championship. I was just impressed with them. You know, that you didn't really know if it was a fluke or not just because of the teams they've been playing so far this season, but I thought they played against Fresno State really well.
I like it. A bandwagon that I am off, Western Kentucky, all the way off, completely off. I think I think that it's going to be a miracle for them, I think, to make the Conference USA Championship game, because I don't think they can win out. I don't think they can do it. They just have not been consistent enough. I mean, they've laid a couple eggs in a row here. Just you've got Austin Reed, you've got Malachi Corley, who we know are great players, but it's just something is happening, and it is not clicking for that team right now. So I'm off that Western Kentucky bandwagon. I am on all over the SMU bandwagon. I mean, they have looked impressive, and like we talked about in the preseason, they're coasting. Memphis is the only team that I think could potentially beat them. The rest, so SMU is going to waltz their ass into the American Championship game healthy, rested, and then they're going to get probably the winner of UTSA and Tulane in the final week of the season, which we know is going to be an absolute slugfest. So SMU is going to be just sitting there waiting on them, and they're going to get the winner of that game, which should be a freaking awesome American Championship game. And then another one, I'm not quite on this bandwagon yet, but it's time to start opening our eyes. You know, I love the Bulls of South Florida, but I also like to go way up north to the Buffalo Bulls. I'm on the Buffalo Bulls bandwagon. This team is 3-5 overall. However, they are 3-1 in the MAC. Now, they still have to play all the teams that in the MAC that could beat them. But we're going to find out real quick. Their next three, they're at Toledo, home versus Ohio, and then at Miami. So this team could win the MAC and become bowl eligible on the same day. Buffalo Bulls. Just pay attention. I'm not on it yet. I'm not on the bandwagon yet, but just start paying attention. They were my dark horse preseason. Start looking out for the Buffalo Bulls.
Sprouse, I got one guy I want to just give a shout out to. I think nobody's talking about him. He's having an absolute phenomenal season. Somebody we need to start paying attention to. North Texas quarterback Chandler Rogers.
Yeah, he had a great game.
Check out these stats. So far this season, 2,200 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground. If their defense could stop anything, I mean, I don't think they can stop a JV team, high school team right now.
No.
If they could limit opposing offenses to 30 or less points, North Texas might be one of the top teams in the American because he's having a phenomenal season and nobody's talking about him. Chandler Rogers, he's having a great year.
He is having a great year. Well, he was one of the – I mean, we thought North Texas was going to be a contender in the American.
I think that was my dark horse, and I mentioned Chandler Rogers, and he lost the starting QB job at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, they went with somebody else.
And I remember being all fired up about that because they went with the unexpected guy, the guy that came into camp as like the third QB they started, which I was like, well, he must have really earned it. But, it turns out they went back to the talented guy, I guess. But what can you do? What's up, Jeff?
Sprouse, we've got a lot of good stuff in the chat. I just want to shout these guys out. I cannot see barely through this mask.
Okay, well, yeah.
We got Zach Green in there. Dan Savage is in there. Steeple's in there. Joe Judkins is in there. Stu's Wright is in there. Zachary Branner's in there. Donovan Phillips is in there. We got all types of guys in here. Our boy Caskey's in there. Some new folks as well. So appreciate you guys in the YouTube live chat. If you're on Twitter, Facebook, come over to YouTube. It's a great community. A lot of good points being brought up in the live chat. And if they are points, we'll shout you guys out, answer any questions that we can. So get everybody over on the YouTube live chat. It's a good time.
I'm absolutely dying right now in this costume.
Kind of hot
like, and y'all, and here's the thing too, like y'all, y'all can't see it. I have to figure out something for tomorrow because
you don't wear it.
Well, I gotta wear it.
Oh, underwear.
No, I gotta wear underwear. Trust me. That's the big problem. The big problem is it's, you buy something off like Amazon, they don't make it for larger people, right? And so I gotta hike it way up in order to get it over my shoulders, which in turn hikes up the crotch region. So it's like on one side, I gotta think like it's on one side, meaning
you got a little loose knuckle happening there.
Everything else is on the other side.
That makes
kids.
sense.
We got kids in the neighborhood, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out a game plan. Yeah.
Makes sense. So you have to wear underwear. Just put a cup on.
Well, I honestly, I was thinking about that. That might be something I have.
The neighbor's wife's gonna just be like, this guy walking around.
Now I know why she married him.
But how about that Green Ranger, huh?
You get our little HOA Facebook costume of the night was definitely the Green Power Ranger.
Randy,
Whose
why
dad
don't
is
you be
that?
the Green Ranger next year?
Yeah, so we'll figure something out. I'll keep you guys posted on how it goes for me. But anyway, so let's talk some of these scenarios. So I talked about SMU already in the American. I like the American. SMU looks like they're going to coast. Tulane and UTSA, to me, even though Tulane's had a couple of scares, I think they're in a good spot for that last week. Memphis and FAU are kind of on the outside looking in. Of course, Memphis still plays SMU. So that game could put Memphis right back in the conversation. And then FAU still plays Tulane. So that could put FAU back in this conversation. So then, they're not going to be favored more than likely in those games. But the American is shaping up, but you still got 5 teams that are kind of alive. Jeff, you got a smirk on your face like something great just happened. What do you got?
No, Joe goes.
I can't tell if you're like cracking up or you're trying to.
Well,
like,
I'm cracking
adjust
up,
the
but I
mask.
think it's just because he can't see. He goes, Sprouse, your head is sweating like Mike Tyson championship fight. You need to wipe your forehead under your hat. But I think it's just the outline of the city on your hat, I think. Because it looks like a big.
Oh, you see my hat?
Big sweat mark.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
it
a
looks like
skyline.
sweat.
It's a city sky. Who said that?
Joe Judkins.
Joe, come on.
It does look like sweat.
How can that look like?
It looks
Why
like
would
sweat
sweat
lines.
be in like perfect? No, come on, guys. It's
As a
skyline.
guy that wears a hat and sweats profusely when he mows the yard, that's how my hat looks. So I'll give Joe credit for that. I see it.
That's how you,
I see it's a good designed hat, but Joe.
Well, it's also probably
I'm
through his
skyline.
phone or a computer or something. I could see how it looked like a sweat mark.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe.
You know what? I am sweating. Yeah, very bad,
Sweating.
but that's not what that is. Yeah, all right,
There
well,
is a hey. This is worth 1 minute of your time. We have purchased. My wife purchased this little neck cooling fan that you can wear whenever you're riding in an airplane, and you put it on your neck, and it just blows cold air up, and you're never cold again. You may want to look into one of those, my friend, tomorrow when you're walking around dressed like the bulging ranger. Just talking about neck fan.
Yeah, I read you. Well, thank you. I probably won't buy that for one event, but
It's fine.
I don't. If I, hey, maybe I might need to look into it though. If we're wearing costumes, every year, it might be an investment.
Mowing the grass.
But anyway, so
I mean,
yeah,
multi-purpose.
no. See, I like when I mow the grass. There's certain things that I like the struggle of it. I suppose, like it's supposed to be hot when you're mowing the grass. Like you're supposed to get out there, put your 5-inch Lululemons on, take the shirt off, put the farmer's hat on, and get after it for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But anyway, so let's talk about this American Conference. So Tulane got a little bit of a scare at Rice. SMU dominated. Memphis got a scare with North Texas. And then, honestly, UTS, it took them a while to separate from ECU. So who's your favorites right now in the American? How do y'all think it's going to play out? Swag, starting with you, pal.
That's tough right now. I think Tulane's probably going to stay the course. They had a scare against Rice, who was kind of my dark horse going into the season. But I like Tulane. I like Tulane to finish out strong. I really do. But I do want to give UTSA credit. I mean, they determine their own destiny. So I mean, UTSA, they can make it to the championship game. I like Tulane.
Yeah, Mark. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down. I mean, it's obviously pretty much a 3-team race right now, but I thought that Rice had a shot against Tulane, and Tulane is, I think, still the best team in the conference. I'm not so certain that SMU is just going to run away with this game. It's at home for Rice again. Not that they have a home field advantage or anything with their crowd, but I think JT Daniels is having a good season. I think that there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game, and I could see Rice. I said Rice is going to knock off one of these teams. I think it could be SMU, but we'll see. But I think UTSA is peaking at the right time. Frank Harris had almost 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, did have an interception. Josh Cephas continues to look like one of the top receivers in the American. 4 catches, 183 yards and a touchdown. And then Trey Moore, he had 3 more sacks He seems like he's playing good ball right now. So I'm going to go with UTSA going to the championship and winning it. They were my pick before the season. I'm going to stick with them.
Tip.
Yeah, I feel like, man, UTSA's playing like they're playing their best football right now, and I think that gives them an edge in that last weekend matchup against Tulane. But to be honest, it would not surprise me just how we've talked about how SMU's schedule is lined up. Would not surprise me if not only if they win their last 4 regular season games, but they win the championship game as well. I mean that honestly would not surprise me. I picked UTSA to win this conference, so I'm going with UTSA. But I think it's going to be UTSA versus SMU, and I mean that's going to be an incredible game, regardless of who wins. Just to see both these offenses going at each other, and I think UTSA has has a better defense. I know SMU, their defense has been playing really well, but I don't know. I'm gonna pick UTSA though to win the conference.
I like it. Now, Conference USA is getting a lot of flack on the Twitters. Liberty's already in. They've already clinched a spot in the championship game. It's more than likely going to be in Lynchburg. The way it stands right now, you have Western Kentucky and New Mexico State who would play next week. And theoretically, the winner of that game would be in. Now, I texted you guys a little scenario that's not out of the realm of possibilities, boys and girls. And I know we are Blue Raider homers, but just hear me out. Hear me out on this. And this would start this week. Big if, Middle Tennessee wins out, which would be at New Mexico State, home versus FIU, home versus UTEP, at Sam Houston. Pretty doable. Other than New Mexico State, they'll be favored the rest of the way through. Okay? So that would have Middle finish with 3 conference losses, which are Liberty, Western, Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State, unfortunately, ineligible. So if that happens, that also gives New Mexico State their second loss and a head-to-head loss to Middle Tennessee. If New Mexico State beats Western, which the way Western's been playing, they might, that would give Western a third loss and a head-to-head loss to New Mexico State. So what you would have is Western beat Middle, Middle beat New Mexico State beat Western. So Western, if they lose to New Mexico State and win the rest, which also they might mess around and lose another one. If they lose another one, that really launches the Blue Raiders in this thing. But then New Mexico State, if they lost to Middle, beat Western, and then lost in the final game of the season to the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State, that would have all 3 of those teams, 3 conference losses, head-to-head wins over each other, and then you're going to get to some wild-ass tiebreaker on computer system, and I don't know who it would go to, but there's a chance. It's not out of the realm, boys. Not out of the realm. We always have a shot. But anyway, Liberty's going to win the conference. So that's
I was going to say all that to go to play
all
Liberty
that
and
to
lose.
go to Lynchburg and get that ass beat by 3 touchdowns. But yeah. Anyway, so how are y'all feeling? I mean, Liberty's.
It's theirs to lose.
I mean, it's
Liberty.
theirs, right? Yeah. Yeah. I just was looking at that. I was looking at some scenarios. I was trying to figure out.
Not a bad scenario.
I mean, it's not like
out of the realm possibilities.
Super unlikely.
No, it's not.
I mean, New Mexico State lose to Jacksonville State, beat Western. Probably likely. Western lose to New Mexico State and win the rest. Yeah, probably. Middle winning out. That's your question mark.
To see you wagging your tail the whole time, you're looking through the scenarios like, wait a minute, this could happen. This could happen. This could happen. This could happen.
Well, you know what I was trying to do? I was trying to figure out if there's championship games. I was trying to figure out okay, is Lynchburg for sure going to host? Because I was looking at potential travels for us, and I was like, well, Ain't no telling what could happen. But anyway, in the MAC, Toledo is ahead in the West. NIU sitting there, though. NIU, that's a bandwagon to be back on, boys. We didn't talk about it earlier in the show, but NIU, just don't look now. They got a chance. And then, Miami with that win over Ohio is right back in the driver's seat for the East. Now, you got Buffalo sitting there who could ruin it for all three of those teams, or they could lose to all three of those teams, and so we'll see how that goes. I think I still like Toledo the best, and then with Miami beating Ohio, I think I like Miami still. I think defensively they are very good defensively, very, very good. So what do you guys think, Murph? I'm gonna go to you first.
Well, yeah, I think it's Toledo, and I think it's Miami at this point. I mean, Ohio has just been so disappointing to me, especially Curtis Rourke, the way he's played. I mean, you have weapons. Can't understand why they cannot figure out how to get that offense rolling. So I don't know if that's an coaching, offensive coordinator issue, or if it's just the players showing up one week, not showing up next. I don't know, but they are been one of my most frustrating teams to follow and watch this year. But Sprouse, you made a comment when we were in Oxford at that game. You made a comment about Rashad Amos, how you really liked him. What a performance he had.
Didn't I?
21
and
carries.
He wasn't getting the carries when we were there.
But he did this week. 21 carries, 163 yards in a tug. He's a damn good running back.
Dude, I don't claim to be an expert because we come on here and go like 1 for 3 or 0 for 3 every single week on our picks. But whenever we put the eye test on a guy, we've been pretty spot on.
Very spot on. Especially when we're in person. Like, and we see a guy. When you're
in person and you see him in warm-ups and you see him, it's I mean, I'm not, I don't know. I mean, I would like to one day like compare notes with like an actual pro, like a scout, and just see the things they say, like see and say, because I mean, you saw the guy, he just was bigger, more explosive than everybody else, but yet he wasn't really getting the carry. So you're thinking, well, I don't know what the problem is. And then this week they went to him, and they're going to have to keep going with him without Gabbert, on offense. So that's a big game for him. But yeah, I don't see the MAC going. I mean, does anybody think NIU got a shot? I mean, they got a shot, but
I'm looking at it. I don't think they do, because Toledo has to lose 2 games, right? Because they beat NIU, straight up. So I'm looking like Central Michigan. That'll be the last game of the year. That'll be a test for Toledo. And I mean, Bowling Green, they're better than they were last year. They've beaten some teams. But
you gotta hope. If you're NIU, you gotta hope for Buffalo to beat them. And then you probably gotta hope. You'd have to.
My Thunder thighs here got a little excited, and I ripped out the cord. But I think Bowling Green's better. It's going to be hard for Toledo to lose. They got to lose 2 games, right? Toledo's got to lose 2 games in the next 3. I don't think that's going to happen. So that's where I was getting at.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. NIU, I do think will win out, but they need some help there. What about you, Murph or Tip?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. Yeah, I think it's going to be Toledo versus Miami rematch in the championship. But, I mean, watch out. Like you mentioned earlier, Sprouse, watch out for the Buffalo Bulls. NIU, like Jesse said, they need help. I just don't think it's realistic that Toledo's going to lose 2 of their last 4 games. So I think Toledo just goes take care of business the rest of the year. They're in. But Buffalo, I mean, that 3-game stretch, if they come out of that stretch and win all 3 of those, they're in.
Look, if there's one thing about the MAC that I know for sure is that nothing is for sure. We got MACtion coming up
it'll probably
this
be
week.
Bowling Green versus Central Michigan.
No, Toledo's
there's no telling.
Toledo won it last year, and they're far and away better than everybody else.
Look, Farmer's Almanac says it's supposed to be a damn cold winter. Just watch a lot of snow games coming up for the MAC.
By the way, speaking of the MAC, Jeff, your boy Max Crosby donated $1 million to Eastern Michigan, huh?
The Condor, dude, that guy's an incredible football player. But for him to just reinvest back into his, university. I mean, that's what these Group of 5 programs need. You get a guy that goes and is one of the best players in the NFL, making a lot of money, comes back, supports his program, people who gave him an opportunity not only to play football but for his degree. Shout out to the Condor, Max Crosby.
Yeah, that's a big time donation. $1 million. What does $1 million to get facility wise right now, you think?
Sore necks.
No. Yeah, one squat rack. No, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think, like, if you just did a locker room, it's probably like a $6 million deal, you think?
Yeah, probably.
Weight room, probably a little less. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Have to do some research on that. We'll figure it out. Get Larry on here. He'll tell us the deal. But yeah, and then in the Mountain West, here's the deal. Air Force is going to be sitting here after this weekend because Fresno and Boise play. So one of them two is going to get their second conference loss. So Air Force is going to be sitting real pretty, and Air Force plays Army this week, so they don't even have a conference game. So they'll be sitting there undefeated in the conference no matter what. And then Boise or Fresno will have a second loss. So Air Force is going to be – they're cruising. They're kind of like SMU. Like, it's going to take something weird happening for them to not get in. And then, you got Boise State, Fresno State, UNLV still kind of hanging out, and then Wyoming. It's going to be tough for Wyoming too. But if you're Wyoming, you probably got to hope you're probably rooting for Fresno State to beat Boise, and then somebody else has got to go beat Fresno State, I think, is what they got to root for, because then you have some kind of three-way tie. And then I don't know. Then each conference has a different, like, weird rule to break the three-way ties. A lot of times it's by ranking. But when you're talking about teams when none of them are in the top 25, I don't know how they figured that out. But anyway,
I'm not sure either. But Mikey Keene is back for Fresno State. Got that big win against UNLV, which knocks UNLV down a peg. Now hear me out, Sprouse. Just hear me out, okay? Boise State's they're at Fresno this week. Got New Mexico at home. Then they got to go to Utah State, which is always kind of a tough place to play. Then they got Air Force at home to finish the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know who's kind of hanging around middle of the pack of this conference? He's playing some pretty good football right now. San Jose State.
Yeah, here it comes.
They got Fresno State at home this week. They beat Fresno State. Then they got San Diego State at home. And then they go to Las Vegas for the last game of the season. So if they win out, Boise State drops the Fresno game and the Air Force game. You're going to have a big tie. And I don't know who ends up making that push, what the rule is on that.
How many losses does San Jose State have? How many conference losses do they have right now?
Conference. Yep. 2.
They lost to Air Force and Boise?
I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
Yes.
Air Force and Boise?
Yep.
So yeah, Boise's going to end up having like 3 or 4 losses, I think.
I think so.
So then if San Jose State finishes, you're saying if they win out, then they'll have a head-to-head over UNLV. Boise will be out just on number of losses.
And they'll have the head against Fresno.
So they control their own destiny then.
They got to win out, which is tough.
That's nice, but
because it would put those 3 teams ahead of them, as in Fresno State, UNLV, Boise State would all have 2 losses as well. And if we see Boise State have 3 losses, which could happen, then you do have San Jose State sitting there at the 2 spot.
I'm biased, and I don't think that Air Force is the best Group of 5 team right now. I still think Tulane is that, and then I think you could argue James Madison, Air Force. You could throw Liberty in the mix maybe, but I would love nothing more than for the Peach Bowl to have Air Force go in there and play, whoever that SEC or Big Ten school is that gets left out, have to play Air Force. They are not going to want any. You're going to see so many guys sit out that bowl game because they're not going to want any part.
The entire defensive line.
The whole D line is going to be like, yeah, no shot. No shot are we playing. And then Air Force is going to beat that team by God knows how much. But Yeah, I would love nothing more than that. I mean, I think like Tulane would match up and be able to play with just about anybody. And then James Madison can't. Air Force, I think defensively can play with anybody, but I think just that offense and that style would be such a pain in the ass for somebody after, by that time in the season, a month off, and then a month off from true live reps, and then have to play that Air Force offense would be something to see. But yeah, that's interesting on the Mountain West, Jeff. I mean, San Jose, I think that's unlikely though. I think Fresno State's the team right now. That's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're the best.
I think you're going to see Air Force Fresno State in the championship game, which be an interesting one. That's for sure. And then the Sun Belt. I mean, there's too many directions it could go to have a say. Other than if Georgia Southern wins out and Troy wins out, that's your most reliable source. But everybody in the East, except for probably Marshall, still has a pretty decent shot at it. And then in the West, Troy, I mean, they all still do. Texas State's going to need some help. And then South, if they were able to find a way to beat Troy, would be right back in the mix. So, but I don't know. Troy seems like they're the safe bet in the Sun Belt to me. At this point in the season, I don't trust anybody in the East. Not one. There's nobody in the East that that's eligible, of course. James Madison, we get it. I trust you. You're good. But
I was going to say there's one scenario that we know is not going to happen. James Madison will not.
James Madison goes undefeated and plays for the Sun Belt Championship. No, that scenario won't happen. What about James? Did you see Mike college football campus tour? He does the same obstructed view picture that he does every game he goes to, and only one fan base got upset about it. Take a wild guess on what fan base that was, Jeff.
James Madison.
James Madison. I mean, I know it's one guy on Twitter, right? I don't even know who it was, but I mean, come on, guys. He's clearly sitting on the stairs. Have you been in a football stadium before, dude? The stairs are not aluminum with numbers individually numbered out in a row, dude.
The comments were so hilarious on that thread.
I mean, that's just, they do it to themselves. You know? I mean, why do the group of five guys hate James Madison? Honestly, I feel like we've shown them nothing but love as far as their on-field product. But when they do stuff like that, it's like it's a little bit difficult. But anyway, Sun Belt though, I mean, these guys are they're just untrustworthy. I'm telling you, we're going to have a 3 or 4 loss team playing for the championship, because even though Georgia Southern they just got the one loss, huh? Or they got 2 conference losses.
Georgia Southern has one.
Just one to James Madison, and they got absolutely slaughtered by James Madison. So I don't trust them either. And then, you never know what could happen when they go to Boone on that last week of the year, rivalry game, which it's funny because that game seems to go, I don't have the stats on this, but I just feel like for as long as we've been doing this, that game seems to go to the team that's not supposed to be the better one every year. Like, it seems like when App's really good, Georgia Southern goes in there and messes up their whole season. And then, this year Georgia Southern seems to be the better team, but you just never know. But I mean, Marshall was my pick. Marshall's done. I'm done with Marshall. I'm done with that whole program this year. Hey, Old Dominion might mess up some people's. Old Dominion might be the one to mess up Georgia Southern's year now. But I don't know. I'm just looking at this thing. I'm looking at the schedules. I'm looking at it. Nobody has a give me game, really.
I don't think there is such a thing in the Sun Belt.
Well, you would have thought it was Arkansas State and Monroe, but then you have App, beating Monroe on a 50-yard field goal, and then Arkansas State. I don't know. But
I think you got to keep an eye on Coastal Carolina too. No matter which which quarterback is starting, no matter which quarterback starting, if Georgia Southern slips up and loses 2 games, I mean, Coastal Carolina has a legit shot at winning out. And yes, that also means at home against James Madison.
Correct.
They're
They're
winning
playing-
that. They're winning that game.
No,
Coastal's not losing that
Guys.
game. It's not happening.
not losing to James Madison.
No.
The one thing that they have going for them this year is last year when they got absolutely obliterated by James Madison, the Jamie Chadwell rumors were pretty much set in stone when that happened. So that's the only thing they got going for them.
I've
Yes,
asked
sir.
this question before. I asked it last year. I can't remember what the answer was. In conference play, if I have 2 losses and another team has 2 losses in the conference, do they look at it by East and West or the entire conference? Because if Louisiana
Conference
goes
loss.
in there, okay, well, Louisiana comes in there and beats Troy this weekend, then they're tied for first place in the West, and then they'll have a
They'll be
head win with
they'll
Troy.
have a
They'll
head-to-head.
be ahead of West, yeah. So Troy is not just the easy
No,
pick
they're
for the
not.
West. Louisiana, way the Sun Belt season's gone, for all we know, they may go in there and handle business, and then next thing you know, they're hosting. They're not hosting. They're going. Well, they might host.
Yeah, they
Sun
play
Belt
at
Championship game.
Troy in a few weeks, but I mean at
That's
Arkansas
if you
State.
okay, so we're off next week.
Well, they play Arkansas State on the road and then Southern Miss. Those are 2 very winnable games. So this team should be sitting at 7-3 going to Troy. Massive game.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what I was looking at. I was looking at a different schedule. Oh, sorry. Okay, they play Troy in a few weeks. Apologize. I think that's what
Well,
I was looking
points still the same. They'll both have the same number of conference losses.
And then
but
after
Louisiana
Troy,
would
they
have
play
a
Monroe.
head-to-head.
So like 3
Yes.
of those 4 are like
Louisiana
win-
should
very
handle
winnable
Arkansas
game.
State and Southern Miss, though. Should. So
Yeah.
We'll see.
Here's the deal, though. Troy, if Gunnar Watson plays like he's been playing the last couple weeks, especially against
Nobody's
Texas
beating him.
State, nobody's beating him because that's the missing. If you would have told me that Texas State would have held Kamani Vidal to, I think it was 28 rushing yards total, or no, to Troy's had 28 total rushing yards in the game. Kamani Vidal had like 34 or 40 something rushing yards. And then
43.
They factor in the sack yardage.
Mhm.
I would have said that Texas State would have won that game. But Gunnar Watson shows up and has 400 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. So it's like, if he can play like that and no interceptions with that defense, Troy's going to represent the West.
I'm assuming Jacque Romero is a Louisiana fan because in the comments he said, "Please stay off our bandwagon." Swag bear.
He knows.
Yeah,
I'm not
he is.
rooting. I'm
He's a
not
Cajun.
rooting for Louisiana. I'm
He's-
just saying that they have a shot. I'll put money on Troy to make you feel better.
I will. Can I just say something? I don't think that his name is Jacque.
Who would it be?
It's like
JAC
They're
QUE.
Cajun. He's Cajun. He's a white guy, isn't he?
Oh, so because Louisiana fan thinks occasion.
I mean, probably, yeah.
He said,
He probably,
"Please do.
probably lives
The
in
name is the
Louisiana,
dead
and
gi-"
he's probably got some French,
Stu said it's
some
a dead
French
giveaway.
heritage.
I gotta see what he says. Stu said the name's a dead giveaway. Maybe it's not Jacque. I think Jacque is a pretty badass name. But
It is, but I'm just gonna guess that guy. Are you looking at his picture?
no, I'm
Name
just
is
looking at.
not
I
Jacque.
can't really look at his picture. I just see. He says, "Meet me on the
Jock.
pickleball court, Swaggy." Okay, he's Jacque for me. And I
Jake
will
Quellen?
whip your ass in pickleball. Just kidding. I'm pretty good at pickleball and pool volleyball. And I've been playing
I
something
bet
else.
you're really
lately.
good at bumper cars, too.
Yeah, I bet. What you been playing?
Yeah.
What else you been playing lately? Let's hear
I'm
it.
confused. Hang on a second. I'm really just had a brain fart. I've been playing pickleball. What I've been doing on weekends now. God bless. Forget it. Forget it. I've lost it. I've been doing a lot of damage to my body the past few weeks.
You got to take care of yourself.
You
Yeah.
do.
I've got a few more years on this world when I live out to my
You-
fullest.
You go and like you when you go to your doctor, like I don't know if you go to a doctor or how
With the
often you
doctor.
go, but they're probably like, last time you were here, you told me you were running
bill of
6
health.
miles a day, you were buying running shoes, you were wearing
Mhm.
Lululemon running shorts. Now you're saying that you're destroying your body every weekend. I mean,
All that said, I still wear the Lululemon stuff.
Well, the doctor that part is probably not what the doctor cares about. The other parts are what he cares about.
No,
Anyway.
I can't remember what else. I'm lost my dad.
So it's not a
boys.
You're not playing a real sport then.
I guess I'm just having the worst brain fart I had in my life. But yeah, I play pickleball. But there's something else I've been doing besides pickleball, and I can't think about what I've been doing. I literally just had a stroke on a live podcast.
Is it like you've been like playing something? It's like a game.
I feel like I need to scream and bring my wife up here. And be like, what are we been
Who
doing?
are you playing?
Is it inside or out? We're gonna figure this out. Is it inside or outside?
I'm gonna go mute. Y'all talk about Group 5 guys. Hang on a second. I'm gonna figure this out. Yeah, I do love golf, but I can't be it.
Foursquare.
Because I was going every weekend to play pickleball. We stopped, so we've been starting doing something else.
Dodgeball.
Well, when it comes to you, let us know what it is. I'm interested.
Yeah, y'all keep on going. It's getting late.
So we have a Southern Roots commercial. Let's get a commercial, Jeff, and we'll go to our picks. By the way, everybody, more than likely no show on Saturday. Murph here is going to Vegas, and we can't do anything without Murph because he's a computer guru, and so we cannot have a produced show without him. So he's going to Vegas, though. Probably, maybe he might take his talents over there to UNLV and check out the Running Rebels.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and reach out.
Check out some facility action.
Somebody be willing to give me a tour, but we'll see what happens.
But we'll be back on. We'll be back on after that. Back next week, probably about this time, to do our. Oh, he's got it.
I'm embarrassed. Just do the Southern Roots Radio, and I'll get back to it.
Let's go to the commercial. Are you tired of listening to the same music playlist? We got just what you need. Southern Roots Radio is an audio magazine rooted in Americana, curating music, culture, and sports to a stubbornly independent audience. Go check them out at southernrootsradio.com, or you can download their app on either the Apple or Google Play Store. Southern Roots Radio. Come on in and stay a while.
We got to make our picks, Jess. But what have you?
No, it's because why did I quit playing pickleball? Because I was playing for like 6 months, and then we just quit playing because yes, I was just playing golf every weekend. But I quit playing golf because I've been watching football every weekend. So that's what I have. So the answer is I haven't been doing shit. But it was because. But
you
it was
were
because
so certain that you had an activity.
It's golf. I go play. I do
I'm
golf
really good
now.
at something else I've been playing.
I do golf now instead of pickleball. So I'm really embarrassed. I'm just going to mute myself for the rest of the show.
I'm not buying that. We'll get the truth out of him at some point. He's been playing something and he's too embarrassed to share with everybody what it is. Look at him. He knows damn well. Look, the guy, he is like just wears his lies right on his face. And he thinks that he's good at it, but he's so predictable. He's playing something. We'll get it out of him. We'll talk about it maybe next week on the show. But, hey, Southern Roots, here's our picks. Lock of the week. We are taking a big bounce-back win for UNLV. We're taking them -9 at New Mexico at the Lobos. UNLV -9. Underdog of the week. I'm actually a little bit surprised. I think this is a one-week bias from this past weekend, but we're going to take the Warhawks, La Monroe, money line over Southern Miss, which, by the way, Frank Gore Jr. all of a sudden decided that we have 250 yards rushing against App State. I mean, where did that come from? My God. Jesse's unplugged his mic again. He was going to tell us, he was going to confess the real thing that he's been playing, which it must be very embarrassing because pickleball, he's like, I love pickleball. Like, and then, so whatever this is.
I just logged back in. I don't even know what you were talking about. But that Frank Gore got tired of us talking some mess, I guess, because he said, no, I am as good as Daddy.
What was that?
No, he played pretty good.
So we're taking Monroe money line over Southern Miss, and then over under. We had a couple we were looking at. We ended up deciding on taking the over SMU and Rice over 58. Look for a lot of points there. I mean, hell, SMU scored 69 against Tulsa, and it could have been a lot more, a lot quicker. So we're taking SMU and Rice over 58. Here's the deal. I mentioned it a minute ago. No show on Saturday, so let's just pick these midweek games real fast. We'll just pick them. Let's just give me the winner. We don't, unless you got something really important. I'm going to go around the horn real fast. NIU at Central Michigan. Give me NIU. Jesse.
NIU.
Tip.
NIU's won 3 games in a row. They keep it rolling. NIU.
Murph.
NIU's won 3 games in a row. Central Michigan gets the win.
Nice.
Wow.
Whoa.
Buffalo at Toledo. Toledo 15.5 point favorites. Give me Toledo. Give me Buffalo to cover on that one, though. Swag.
And Toledo handles business.
Tip.
Toledo, but Buffalo covers.
Murph.
Toledo.
Ball State at Bowling Green. Give me Bowling Green. Big. Swag.
Ball State, they never have a lot of good leaders. Bowling Green.
Who was it?
Talking about last year.
That was last year. That was last year when they had
Drew Glick.
all those guys came back.
They had like a 7th year. They had like a 7th year senior at quarterback. He was like, they don't have a good locker
Well,
room.
they ain't good this year,
leadership.
so I'm going Bowling Green.
Tip. What do you got?
I gotta go Bowling Green. They're at home. They got to win against Georgia Tech. 1-2 in a row against Buffalo and Akron. I'll go Bowling Green.
Murph.
Bowling Green, I think they cover.
Kent State at Akron. Akron's 4.5 point favorites. Kent State is not very good. Give me Akron. Swag.
Nah, for the heck of it, Matt, Tuesday, MACtion. I'm taking Kent State.
Tip.
Well, this game's on Wednesday, but I'm going to go Akron.
Whatever.
I'm gonna say that
I
either.
knew it. I
was
knew it
gonna
when I
leave
said it. When I said it, I saw Sprouse's eyes look to the left. Denton couldn't control himself. Whatever. Go sell a Bible.
I've been too busy. I've been so busy playing some sport every weekend. I couldn't remember what sport I've been playing. Jeff, Kent State at Akron.
Give me the Zippers.
God almighty. He knows it. See, look at him. The guy,
can't
this
control
guy's
it.
he's been trying to lie to me for 15 years, and not once has he ever gotten away with it.
Man.
Colorado State at Wyoming. Wyoming's a touchdown favorite at home. Give me the Cowboys. Swag Bear.
I like Wyoming. Bounce back.
Tip.
Wyoming, bounce back, win at home.
Murph.
Cowboy up.
Biggest one potentially of the entire week, including the weekend. South Alabama at Troy. Big rivalry game. Game for kind of, control of the West a little bit. But, preseason I had South Alabama in the conference championship game, but I don't like it anymore at this point. I trust Troy. Give me Troy.
What's that? 4 points?
6.
6.
I'm dumb, but I think Sunbelt shakeup. I'm going to say South Alabama. They come back. They come out and play awesome. I mean, 2 weeks ago they beat Southern Miss by like 60 points in the first half, and then Southern Miss they did App State. I mean, it's just up and down, up and down. Troy's got to have a bad game here coming up soon. Hopefully it's not this weekend, but I like South Alabama.
Tip.
Money line.
I agree with what you said, Sprouse. I think Troy's just the more consistent team week to week. You're just not entirely sure which South Alabama team is going to show up. This game's at Troy, so I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Troy.
Murph.
I think Vidal's going to be pissed that he was held under 100 yards. I think they feed him, and I think Gunnar Watson continues to play well.
Is he still leading the country in yards?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
When's that game?
Thursday.
Okay.
That's Thursday night, and then that Colorado State Wyoming game is Friday night, I believe.
Okay.
But that's all we got as far as picks. We got voicemails, Jeff. We got a couple of them. So you guys keep calling that hotline, 615-900-4286. I'd like to hear everybody else's predictions on the way these conferences are going to shake out. But give us a call on Saturday night after the games or Sunday morning after the games and give us your best prediction, 615-900-4286. Jeff, take it away.
Just roll right into it. Zach Green.
What's up, guys? It's Zach Green here, and you know exactly what I'm calling about, baby. No, baby. Flames straight no. Man. I'm going off the cuff tonight. What a game by Liberty, especially the offense. We'll talk about the offense, man. 323 yards on the ground, which followed up a 401-yard performance on the ground against MTSU. I mean, what is it, I-65 that goes between Bowling Green and Nashville and Murfreesboro, whatever, and it might as well be no cars on that road. We're burning up that road. 100 miles radius, like 100 miles of just let Liberty walk right through. I mean, done on the offense from a ring perspective. I mean, hardly anybody this season has shown that they can stop that run. I'd love to see Liberty's rush offense against JMU's rush defense. I mean, our O-line and tight ends are some dogs, man. Blocking, run game, Quentin Cooley, Caden Salter, Billy Lucas, more dogs. Incredible rush game. Air Force better watch out. I haven't looked at the new averages, but we're hot on their heels with that national yards per game on the average thing. Incredible game on the offense. Defense, man, defense. We got some things to fix there. Thankfully, a big part of the badness were two real bad big plays. Thankfully, big plays are sometimes easier to fix than long, sustained drives. But we had some of those too. So we got some stuff to clean up there, but we can run the ball and establish the run. We're going to be hard pressed to find many teams in the group of 5 that can beat us. And so I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm not dumb enough as a Liberty fan to think, we're definitely going to go undefeated. Because last year we lost our last 4 games. The year before, like 3 out of our last 5 or something. But things are looking good. I'm encouraged. I'm excited about the last 4. Excited to get to the mountain on November 4th against La Tech. Going to be fun. Great time to be a Liberty fan, of course. Already clinched the spot in the championship game, and a lot would have to go wrong for us not to host. So before I go, one other thing. We've reached peak madness with this Shenandoah Valley State University bowl eligibility thing. We've got this lady in the Virginia legislature threatening, legislative action against the NCAA if they don't get eligible. I mean, it's crazy. You can't really skip this. This is peak college football. I love it. It's funny. But we're getting crazy. And I'm just saying, the group of 5 does not want to play around with the NCAA having no control over things anymore. You don't want to mess around with that. Anyways, guys, go Flames. See you in Lynchburg, baby.
We very well might.
Strong chance.
Well, let's check in with our boys down from Statesboro, Georgia.
Group of 5, guys, it is Friday morning, and oh my gosh, 44-27 win against Georgia Southern. Holy what a football game. Unbelievable crowd in Statesboro. I think 23,000 people, I believe. Still don't think Georgia State fans exist. There might be about 100 of them in the whole entire country. But anyway, Davis Brand had a good game, 22 for 35, 334, 3 scores, touchdown, interception. You know, you still got to clean up the turnovers going forward because you got Texas State, Marshall on the road, then ODU at home, then App State on the road. Not an easy rest of the schedule. Defense has got to be a little bit better, but they were good in crunch time when it mattered last night, especially with the interceptions. And I was talking to my brother before the game, and I was like, man, I think Marcus Stampley is going to get a pick tonight. And it fell right into his hands. Marquise Watson-Trent got a good game-sealing interception. And, man, what an unbelievable football game. Southern not State going forward, just got to win, baby. Hail Southern, go Eagles. God bless the group of 5 guys, and God bless college football. See y'all.
If somehow the Sun Belt Championship game is down in Statesboro, that is going to be wild.
I've been telling you guys. But a lot needs to happen for them to host, I feel like. I mean, I guess not a ton. They got to win out.
Yeah,
they got to win out and hope Troy loses. That's probably it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's check in with our good friend Jim Cowart also down that way.
Group of 5 guys, good morning. This is Jim Cowart calling you on my morning commute, as usual. Man, the atmosphere at Paulson Stadium on Thursday night was absolutely awesome. The student section was completely filled out, which was great to see, and they stayed for the whole entire game. Students, hats off to you. Y'all did an amazing job. An awesome job. 23,000 strong in Boston on a Thursday night. The stadium, the atmosphere, everything was electric, and the Eagles came away with a great win. Super, super, super. And got home at 1:30 that night. I couldn't sleep. It was absolutely awesome to see. Great game. Looking forward to this weekend at Texas State. Just, man, I can't tell you how important it is. Students, any school that listens to this podcast, please, guys, show up to your games. It makes a difference for your team. It fires your boys up. And it just, the difference is night and day between a nearly sold-out crowd and just ho-hum attendance. Guys, part of the college experience, go and support your team, support your boys, and, man, I just can't tell you how awesome it was. Anyway, hope y'all have a great week. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Appreciate it, Jim, as always.
Amen to that.
Let's say hypothetically Georgia Southern and Troy both went out. They're both 7-1 in the conference. They did not play each other. Do we know what the tiebreaker would be to host?
Well, last
would it be
year
like that
it was,
ranking, kind of like what we were talking about? Like,
yeah, there's one tiebreaker that's like whoever like if one of them wins their last game or something like that. But if they both went out, that means they both would have done that. Yeah, then I think it would go to like the ranking. Like,
okay.
Which I don't know. I just feel like that would be Troy. I feel like Troy's closer to being a ranked team right now than Georgia Southern. I don't know.
Okay.
We were looking at it.
Head-to-head result between both teams. If the teams are still tied, the team with the highest overall division winning percentage shall be the division champion. If still tied, each team's winning percentage versus the team occupying the next highest. This gets crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah, there's like so many contingency plans. And it's all like winning percentage against like the next closest team. And then if still tied, one team was ranked in the last available college football playoff selection committee rankings and wins in the final weekend of the conference regular season will be declared.
I think the second one would make Troy host because their one loss would be against James Madison, which is in the East Division. So Troy would be undefeated in the West Division, so they would host.
I got you. Well,
that answers that question.
There you go. All right, let's get to our last two callers. We got Zachary Branner, who was dressed up as Luke Combs for Halloween when he called in.
Oh, I saw that picture. He kind of looks like him.
Yeah, he does a little bit.
Long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart. How about them f***ing Troy Trojans, baby? It's another victory coming off a bye week, getting a dub, getting it done in San Marcos, Texas. It was going to be a dogfight. We all knew it was going to be, but I ain't gonna lie to you, those refs were absolute f***ing dog shit. I mean, my God, f***ing terrible, but got the job done. Cream brulee. Love the talking, for that first quarter, saying, Texas State, Tulane State and Texas State was that old Texas Western. Well, we bent that ass over and had our way with it. So, 31-13 victory. So, how about them apples? Tastes pretty sweet. Joking. I'm just joking. No, Texas State actually, on an actual true statement here, Texas State, I'm really happy for them. They, it's good for the conference when they're good. Happy they're good. It was a big win. Really, really, really happy we're number one in the West again. We're still not done. We control our own destiny. Still got to finish the season. We still got them down in Mobile to play. Then we got, Louisiana, but at the same time, we still got to go week to week, 1-0 each week. But great win in San Marcos. Yes, Yes, Jeff, you had to use the bleep button tonight. No, just sorry. Want to get that over with, but happy the Troy Trojans won. I am dressed up as Luke Combs for Halloween. I did send Jeff a message of my costume. He may or may not share that with you guys, but you know, it's Halloween. The Troy Trojans won, and I'm happy. Forever and always, one Troy.
Never had to use the bleep button more.
Yeah, Luke Combs doesn't curse, does he? Not in his music. You know, hey, man, you know, Zach, he's been there now for some downs for Troy. So these last couple of years, yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it and hope y'all can come up with the, you know, whatever money it takes to keep old John Summerall over there.
That's my biggest, I guess, if I had a worry about
concern.
Troy is him going somewhere else. Somebody's gonna come after him.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I feel like it's gonna have to be if he were to leave, I think he would wait on a spot. Like I don't think he's a guy that's just gonna bounce for whatever. Like I think it would have to be somewhere he sort of Michigan
State.
Yeah, see, I don't think
he doesn't catch. I don't know about that.
I don't think so. Well, I think he's definitely. I mean,
it also depends
Michigan
what kind of
State,
money they throw at him.
Michigan State
could be a sleeping giant out there.
That whole thing is wild.
Yeah,
but anyway, yeah, I feel like he's a Southern guy though. Either
no, way. That's the first only big school that really popped in my head to think of
I think if you know, again, if last year wasn't his first year at Troy, I think that Auburn job might have looked pretty intriguing for him. Of course, you know, Auburn seems like they want to do Freeze.
He's pretty sharp too, though. Like we've talked to him a couple times, and he's. I feel like if there was how Napier took the Florida job, like I'm not going to say that Summerall wouldn't have taken that job, but like. You got to know certain schools. You go in, your hands are tied behind your back.
You think Billy Napier right now is just like, what was I thinking? I know his pockets are fat, but
I think them beating Tennessee is the only reason why he's still the coach of Florida right now.
Which is insane.
It's nuts.
Which is insane, but that's how it goes. I mean. You know, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, put it this way: if John Summerall doesn't win the Sun Belt this year, nobody's trying to fire the guy. If he doesn't win it next year, nobody's trying to fire him next year. Anyway. What else we got, Jeff?
We got our last caller, our boy Stu's Right from Twitter.
Hey, boys. Stu's Right from Twitter. Elephant in the room. I left at halftime of the Southern Miss game. Couldn't watch anymore. Defense is an issue. Keep getting beat deep. I don't understand the cushion, but how they've chosen to play. My question is, the trend is us putting the ball on the ground and us giving the ball away. I posed a question on Yosef's Captain, but I want to get your take on it too. How much of coaching, how much is coaching the issue as far as turnovers go? We turned the ball over through a pick to North Carolina. They scored 2 plays later. We get beaten double overtime. We threw a pick six and gave up a scoop and scored at East Carolina. That game was way closer than it should have been. 3 turnovers against ULM. Obviously, that was one on a last-second field goal. Coastal, the only turnover was a big fumble late in the game that eventually led to them kicking a game-winning field goal as time expires. Old Dominion, we didn't turn the ball over. But on a critical 2nd and 1, we fumbled a handoff exchange that would have get a couple first downs, the ball game's over. They came down, scored, went for 2, got it. We lost. The only 2 turnovers in the Southern Miss game, we threw a pick, and then we picked one off the ensuing drive, and then we fumbled, and thank God they missed a field goal right before the half. My point is, how much is it a Fire Clark question when, despite all those turnovers, we've had a chance to win every game we played in? I don't know. Defense is an issue. I get that. Sluggish starts have been an issue. I get that. But how much is turning the ball over directly related to coaching? I don't know. I'm 50-50. Go either way. Anyways, thanks.
It's an interesting question.
I mean, like getting turnovers, I think is, I don't know, man. I mean, every team like drills that crap all week. But that's a good point he made, though, that like, is it a credit to Clark that they are getting all these stupid turnovers and yet they're still in every game? Man, the fumbles, like you can't, I don't know. I feel like you can't coach that. I mean, that stuff, that's like the fumbling the ball, that's like stuff that some guys just do. I mean, even in the NFL, there's guys that are prone to fumble.
Yeah. I'm very passionate towards that question because I've said before, I don't think that I'm leaning more towards you just say, wait, Clark is putting the guys in position to win. The Coastal Carolina game, that still fires me up that they fumbled going in just because I had money on it. But then there's the careless dropping the snaps, fumbles, interceptions that are leading to game-winning drives or game-winning field goals for the other team. I don't think that's a coaching problem because now if it was a fourth quarter and it's 3rd and 2 and you throw a stupid pass because the coach threw instead of running the ball, then that's different. But if you're running the ball and then your running back just fumbles the ball over and then they scoop and score it, that's not on coaching, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you do coach it, but that's not that's not fireable offenses to me. And they in that state can be like, we should be beating these teams by 21 points every week. Well, it's Sunbelt. It's not gonna happen.
Well, and also, yeah, like the fumbles, especially like when you're just like fumbling an exchange, like that stuff is like quarterbacks and running backs, like they do that. I mean, you got to be able to do that in your sleep. Like that's stuff that you've been drilling since Pee Wee football. You know what I'm saying? Like handing the ball off and taking a handoff as a running back. So like now interceptions, that could be luck, could be play calling. It could be maybe there's a disconnect in film and what coverages the defense is going to be in. Or, at some point, is it hey, why did we have this guy in the game if he's prone to turnover? But then, who else do you got? Man, it's tough. Like obviously everything falls on at the top with the head coach, but at the same time, yeah, like you can't. Jesse brought up that Coastal play, like great play call, great execution, everything. We just dropped the ball. We just fumbled it. So like, I don't know. I don't think those kind of like dumb turnovers can be put on the coaches at all.
I agree.
And then, defensively, like getting turnovers, I could see that a little bit more. Like if you're not getting any, like are you being put in aggressive play calls where you could get sack fumbles, whatever, interceptions, but you're also running the risk of you being, press man coverage. You're going to be getting your guys beat deep all the time. And then you're going to be mad at the coaches for why are our guys getting beat deep all the time or whatever.
Hey, you're paying players now. They keep thumbing the ball, take their money away from them.
Well, the school's not paying them.
Yeah, well, but boosters take it away. It was more of a joke. I'm just saying these players are getting so much more credibility and things. Now you can take some away from them.
Speaking of, that's the last voicemail, Jeff.
That's it.
Before we go, speaking of players getting paid, did you see what is the jackass? I don't know if he's on ESPN or Fox that said after last week, USC's quarterback should sit out the rest of the season. Did you see that? And he said, well, his chance at winning the Heisman is over. So like, so he can't win his individual ass award that he already won, by the way. So he should say like, and that's a guy that played college ball and played, I think Acho or whatever. I think he played in the league for a little bit. Like,
that was disturbing.
That's one of the worst takes I've ever heard. I mean, man, like, hey, he can't win an individual award. So, I mean, you're going to wonder why, like, you want to start seeing, like, you know, O-linemen start doing the old lookout blocks a little more often. You start having players that act like this. You start having head coaches that don't know your starting center's name.
You're messing with their money. You're messing with their money. I'm talking about, like, if he sits out rest of the year and then you're going to potentially put more losses on the board, and I'm a left tackle that's trying to go to the league, and now I have a second string quarterback that's potentially not going to win as many games, I'm going to resent you for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks. That's tearing the locker room up.
Or that's going to, you know, not get rid of the ball and take a sack and not give you a sack on your stat line. Or if you're if you're any position, if you're a receiver, you're not getting your catches, especially if you're a guy that's a fringe guy that's got to have, you know, got to have every game, every rep's got to be right for him to get a chance. And then you got a guy that's going to play 7 games and, oh, I can't win the Heisman anymore, so I'm going to call it. Now, and again, like Caleb Williams he's playing. So I'm not saying this about him, but
no, the take for the guy.
That pissed me off more than anything. But anyway, that's all we got. No more voicemails. That's all we got. I mentioned earlier, more than likely no show this weekend because our esteemed producer is traveling. We are useless without it, because otherwise we just come on here and talk to each other. We wouldn't even have a recording or anything, but we'll figure it out. We'll make an announcement on Twitter if we do a show, but we will be back next week for our normal live podcast. If you do like the show, make sure you follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, subscribe to the channel, give us a 5-star rating and a review. Tell your family and friends all about us, or go to groupof5guys.com. Get you some Group of Five Guys swag. Hope everybody enjoys Tuesday night MACtion tomorrow. Get some good Halloween candy. Appreciate y'all.